Good morning, students. Today we are going to read a very important question in the topic of reforms of 1909 and 1919 in the subject of history O levels. So concentrate yourself. We are starting the question. And the question is, the Morley-Minto reforms were more important than any other political development between 1909 and 1919. Do you agree or disagree? So we are going to start now. The Minto-Morley reforms 1909 was an important political development in India, but during 1909 and 1919, the Lucknow Pact in 1916 and Montague-Chelmsford reforms 1919 were also important developments. The Minto-Morley reforms 1909 were important because these were the first important step taken by the British government to give some political power to Indians. The number of the members in the central and provincial councils were increased, but official majority was retained. These reforms granted the rights of the separate electorate for the Muslims, which pleased the Muslim League, but the Congress showed strong resentment. One Indian member was added to the Viceroy's Executive Council and one to each of the provincial councils. These reforms were widely criticized by the Congress, although some steps were taken to give some powers to Indians. The Congress condemned the reforms but agreed to work with them. In 1913, the Muslim League had added self-rule in its demands. It brought the Congress and the Muslim League closer. Mr. Jinnah joined the Muslim League in 1913, and ever since he made strong efforts to bring the two parties closer so that the achievement of the self-rule may be easier. The Lucknow Pact 1916 was an agreement between Congress and Muslim League about the constitutional problem of India. Under this pact, the Congress accepted the right of the separate electorate for Muslims. Also, one-third seats in the Central Assembly for the Muslims, and the principle of the weightage was agreed upon, according to which Muslims were given more seats than their population ratio in Muslim minority provinces of UP, Bihar, Bombay, Madras, etc. And likewise, Hindus were given more seats in Hindu minority provinces of Punjab and Bengal. Provincial autonomy was also agreed upon. The recommendations of the Lucknow Pact were presented to the British government. In 1909, it was promised that more powers will be given to Indians after 10 years. Therefore, in Montague-Chelmsford reforms 1919, more concessions were given. A system of the two houses was proposed for the central legislature. Number of the members in assemblies was greatly increased and elected members were in majority. The 1919 reforms introduced the system of the diarchy in the provinces. According to this system, the unimportant or the transferred subjects, for example, agriculture, education, health, etc., were given to Indian ministers, whereas the important or reserved subjects, for example, police, justice, revenues, were under the control of the governors and executive councillors who were British. 3 Indian members were included in Viceroy's Executive Council. Although the number of the voters were increased, yet yet the right to vote was still discriminatory. The viceroy and the governors had vast powers to appoint ministers and to dismiss the assemblies. These reforms disappointed both the Muslim League and the Congress because both had hoped for more substantial powers. In short, the Act of 1919 did not do much to solve the constitutional problem of the India. We come to the conclusion that the Lucknow Pact 1916 was the most important political development between 1909 and 1919. So this is the conclusion which we are giving at the end. Under the Lucknow Pact, both the Congress and the Muslim League were moving in the right direction with cooperation and understanding. Had both parties maintained their cooperation and concessions to each other, the goal of the self-rule or independence would have been achieved much earlier, and even the division of the country can be avoided. So this was the topic, students. Read this lecture again. This is very important lecture, and make your notes. Thank you so much.